Let's make Alfa great again! So guys, the long-awaited test drive of the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio is finally here. I knew it would have been rather exciting driving this car, as I already had a first taste of its remarkable platform with the Stelvio. You know, Alfa Romeo has spent more than €1 billion to develop this brand new platform, and you know, driving first the Stelvio and then the Giulia, it's a bit like watching your favorite TV series from the second season and then jumping back to the first one. You know you're gonna spoiler yourself something, but at least you know it's gonna be great. And what I've spoiled myself is that this platform makes the Giulia so agile and incredibly fun to drive. So let's switch Alfa Romeo's Manettino from dynamic to race mode, which is the most aggressive setting that you can find on this car. I quite like also the configuration of this Giulia. You know, at first I was kinda disappointed because I was like, ooh, Gray, you serious? But then, with the time, I started to appreciate this colors configuration. I think it looks very sneaky, and even with this color, this car really attracts the attention. I didn't expect that. Maybe to the eyes of many, this is just another Giulia, but to the eyes of the petrolheads, they realize instantly this is not an ordinary Giulia but the Quadrifoglio, which is the top version that money can buy. It looks much more aggressive and badass compared to a standard Giulia. It's a good thing I already warmed up the tires, because switching all the electronics off and driving with the cold tires is a dangerous mix. But once the tires start to warm up a little bit, the car's behavior is truly incredible. It's surprisingly easy to control so much power with the electronics off. This is also given thanks to the incredible platform, which makes the car so balanced and predictable. You know, it's not very nervous. Once the rear of the car starts to slide, you start to feel it immediately, and I find it easy to control and to oversteer. By driving this way, I don't know how much the tires are gonna last. Ooh, you know, it was a controlled spin. Taglia, taglia. Slamming my foot on the brakes. Ooh. It's a good thing the Giulia Quadrifoglio has massive and powerful brakes. But you know what? If I really need to make a critic to this car, it's about the brakes, because this press car is fitted with the option carbon ceramic brakes. It's a €7,500 option, and I don't think that carbon ceramic brakes are really necessary on a car like this, because this is a daily car, and the biggest problem of the carbon ceramic brakes is the fact that they really need to take some time to heat up, and when these brakes are cold, they are really dangerous because they don't offer a decent braking power. Even the steel ones offer a powerful braking, and yeah, I think you need to cool them down earlier, but at the end of the day, I think that the steel ones are the one to go in this car. The worst side of the carbon ceramic brakes is that they're actually way too fragile, especially for track use. You just need to go out of the track once to risk to break the carbon ceramic discs. The pebbles are the worst enemy for this kind of discs. This kind of discs are more fragile than you may think. I think there is a lot of marketing behind the carbon ceramic brakes, and I think that a lot of people just waste their money to have them and to say to their friends, oh, I've got carbon ceramic brakes like in supercars. But I think that, yeah, they're kind of useless. So if you're thinking to buy a Giulia Quadrifoglio, I think you should go for the steel ones and save a lot of money. Talking about expensive options, this car is almost fully equipped by playing on Alfa Romeo's car configurator. This car costs about 93,000 euros, and it's equipped with lots of cool things. For example, the option sport seats. I think these are really good. You know, the standard seats are more like a couch, but this one, they wrap you around in the corners, you don't move, and they're not uncomfortable as they look. On a daily driving, I found them rather comfy, to be honest. And the coolest thing is that actually the passengers behind you will get to enjoy the fully exposed carbon fiber. Yeah, they look pretty amazing. 3,500 euros for them, yeah, go for them, definitely. And you know, if you love carbon fiber, that's really lots of money to spend around here. Even the hood is made of carbon fiber, and behind the wheel of the car you can actually see a part of the bonnet carbon fiber. I think that overall the designers of Alfa Romeo have done an amazing job from the inside and outside, especially the outside, I have to say, because I love the way this car looks. I have to say, the back of this car, which is my favorite side, I think it looks quite Maserati-ish. If you remove the badge in the back, I think that lots of people will confuse this car for a Maserati. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, actually. I love Maseratis and their design. And you know, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Ferrari, it's all like a big family. For example, there is also a Ferrari side in this car, like the engine. This is actually the same engine of the Ferrari California T. Well, here it's smaller. It's a 2.9 liter twin-turbo V6 engine, 2 cylinders less, but still, this car is capable to produce 510 horsepower and 600 Newton meters of torque. And let me say that, well, this is a rather brilliant engine. Below 3,000 RPMs, the engine doesn't deliver that much of power and boost, but when the turbos kick in, my goodness! It redlines at 7,000 RPMs, and if you turn off the electronics, this car is so brutal, so fast, so fun. And the idea of combining this engine with a 6-speed manual transmission, this is the recipe of an amazing driving experience, really. I already tested the option ZF 8-speed automatic transmission with the stereo, and I found it a really nicely done transmission. But even though if with the clutch pedal this car might be annoying to be driven in the traffic, I think I will go for this one, the manual transmission. It's incredible at how a transmission can change so much the driving experience. I find this car a lot more engaging and fun to drive with a stick and a clutch pedal. And of course, with a manual transmission, the gear change is not as quick as with the pedals. So Alfa Romeo has developed a trick which makes you able to change the gear while keeping the foot on the throttle. All you have to do is to smash the foot on the throttle, and then while the foot is still on the throttle, you press the clutch pedal and voila, you change gear. And this makes the gear change slightly quicker, so you don't have to lift the foot on the throttle. This car gets very, very sideways. I'm not sure how much tar is left, but I could do this all day long, and controlling the power slides through the steering wheel, well, if I haven't crashed yet through the fence, it's because this car is very predictable to drive, and also the steering wheel really provides a very good feedback. It's so sharp and direct, and after a few laps with the electronics off, I feel very confident to push it to the limit. Ooh, that's a lot of smoke.
Pit stops with the Giulia are needed once in a while. If you slide too much, the LSD quickly overheats and starts not to work properly. Oh yeah, and it's good to take advantage of the situation to check the tire wear also.
You know, when you don't want to drive sideways, you can really feel the tires provide so much traction and grip. But with a slightly bigger touch of the throttle, yeah, you're going sideways. We're already on the main street, and from the front camera what you can see is actually the active aerodynamics of the Giulia Quadrifoglio. Yeah, this car has active aerodynamics. Above 100 km per hour, the front carbon fiber spoiler gets lower in order to provide even more downforce, so the car is even more glued to the road. I'm not the kind of saloon car guy, but to be honest, I wouldn't mind having a Giulia Quadrifoglio in my garage. Dear Alfa Romeo, would you mind making me a big discount for one of these? Please! You know what I love also about this car? Ferrari once said that they will never ever build a saloon car. Well, this is technically a false statement, because they used to make the Ferrari 456 Venice for the Sultan of Brunei. It's a one-off, but still, they made it. And one-off aside, I think that the Alfa Giulia Quadrifoglio is actually the closest thing that you can buy from a Ferrari saloon car. And I say this not just because the engine is taken from Ferrari, but also because the technicians of Ferrari have helped Alfa Romeo to develop this car. So we can say that part of this Alfa Romeo is also Ferrari. And for a starting price of 79,000 euros, well, this sounds like a bargain. I'm cooling down the car a little bit, and I'm thinking about the Giulia and Alfa Romeo in general, and I think that this is currently the best Italian product if you're looking at a super sports sedan. You know, there is also Maserati with the Quattroporte GTS, but that car is oriented more of a Grand Tourer style, and this is more oriented on the pure driving experience. I think that buying a Giulia Quadrifoglio with a 6-speed manual will be an irrational choice, because I think that most of the time you will actually complain to use the stick in the traffic. But I think that after all, that's a choice to be made not with the brain, but with the heart. I love the fact that Alfa Romeo is putting lots of efforts to build valid and emotional products, and the Giulia Quadrifoglio is a great showcase of Italian engineering and dedication. Thank you, Alfa Romeo. The Stelvio is actually the first SUV from Alfa Romeo that you can buy, and people expect a lot from this car. First of all, because the Stelvio takes lots of components from the very desired Giulia.